think that what we've witnessed is the evolution of the way that we have engaged with our town centres on a local sort of space. One of the things that's distinguishable about the two, city centre and town, is the differences in what they offer to the consumer. So if you look at it from a consumer perspective, there's two different offerings because of the nature of the space and what consumers expect from the space. So research by the High Street Task Force has indicated that city centre footfall fell by 75% between the 1st of March and the 30th of June, and that's supported by Springboard. But in a knock-on of, in a comparison of fate, as Dan alluded to, the town centres had a decrease of 34.5%. But if you look at it from a consumer's perspective, we have changed the way we shop, live and work as a result of COVID. It's been a massive disruptor in so many ways. But two things are fundamental that are going to change as a result of COVID. Number one is that as this duration of 12 months that we've spent locked in our homes, we have connected and re-engaged with our local community a lot more, and our local town centres a lot more. Searches for support your local business have gone up 2,000 times a year globally, and that's a figure supported by Retail Weekly. And what we can see by that is that consumers want to invest in their spaces. They want to invest in their local communities, and town centres have been revived and revisited, and they're becoming more vibrant because of that footfall that they're getting, but also the engagement, because footfall is one thing and it's incredibly important. But the other thing that's important is engagement and social emotional connections with the consumer. When a space starts to mean something and consumers take ownership of that space and place, it's something different. City centres, yes, they have suffered a lot, but as Vaughan has alluded to, there are so many different things that city centres will mean more than just retail spaces, and that will make city centres vibrant in itself. But what I would say is that as we go post-COVID into this working pattern and arrangement where 2/3 of the UK's population want a hybrid arrangement from working from home and working from their working spaces, these figures are supported by McKinsey too, who have done research. We're going to know that as you spend more time in a space, you will invest more in that space. So I think that town centres are really going to come off a lot better than they would have done if they didn't have COVID. I think COVID was a godsend for town centres and city centres. It made people in local areas, and we've invested more in them. So it's an evolution in many ways, but I think it's been great for local businesses. It's been great for independents. And I think the city centres will always fare well because we will always want to connect with city centres, but in a different way. I think that's a really important point. I think there's obviously a distinct difference between city centres and town centres. But when we look at town centres specifically, you need to service your customer because that's what's going to keep them enriched and keep going. If your product doesn't suit your customer, they're not going to come back. It's basic business fundamentals. And what I would say is every centre is unique. Daniel talked about Rochdale being different from Stretford. I'm a Stretford girl. I know what Stretford's going through right now. We're actually going through a process of consultation with the local community about what do you want here? What do you want your house to be like? And I think that's the fundamentals and the importance of what COVID's done actually. This was happening before COVID anyway, but this accelerated interest in your local communities, the COVID disruption has resulted in change, and that change has been positive. But bringing back to this idea of regeneration, I think that there's been questions asked whether High Street should be just about retail, and my answer would be no, because not everybody just wants to go to their high street to shop. Shopping isn't everything for the consumer. There's much more than that. There's leisure, there's hospitality, there's education, there's culture. And Stretford benefits from, similarly to Rochdale, with some beautiful buildings. One of the things that the local community has done is taken back their town hall, and now we've put independence in there. It's a community run project. Friends for the local park, which is Victoria Park, we invest in the community here, and we were actually setting a coffee shop up next to a playground. What I'm trying to say is that the centre then becomes the whole area, and it becomes an identity for the people that live there. And if we really want stability and we want to continue to build our town centres, we have to move away from just thinking of them as a series of shops, because consumers don't engage with just a series of shops. It's about creating communities and tribes and people that want engagement ultimately, in my opinion. Yeah, essentially, I think COVID's been good because it's brought people together and it's brought this sense of community back. We've moved a little bit away from our busy working lives when we've gone to somewhere else where we worked in the city centre, for example, and we're starting to build those communities again. But what I would say about Manchester is we're one of the cities that have faced the largest lockdown in duration period relative to
Yeah.
other cities. And I think we're a very resilient community. We've got great independence, we've got great chains and businesses, and I think we have the agility to bounce back really well. We did every time the lockdowns have been opened and the restrictions have gone, so why not?